I'm going to demonstrate for you a method of fireforming brass to an Ackley Improved Chamber. The standard method of brass is to take a parent cartridge, in this case a 257 Roberts plus P, and filling it with a fast burning powder for that cartridge, loading a projectile into the lands and the grooves, and then putting it in the chamber and firing it. This is desirable in many ways. One way, the main way, is that you can actually hunt while fireforming this brass, and it usually is accurate. Now here's the problem. In my case, I have a very long throat on my rifle. It's an old Sacco and a 257 Ackley, and it's very, very long throat. To seat my bullet to the lands and grooves would give me less than 1/8 of an inch contact between my neck and my projectile. This has been a problem, and I was getting very scattered results. The shoulder was very bowed and rounded, and it just wasn't good. There was very little I could do about it. I've tried and wasted lots of money, lots of projectile, lots of powder trying to get it done this way. Well, I started searching the internet, and I actually found a method that's called the cream of wheat method. Now, it's a little weird, okay, but it works beautifully, and you get excellent results if you do it correctly. For example, notice the difference between this cartridge with the standard 257 Roberts shoulder and this Ackley Improved cartridge with a 40-degree shoulder. The length of the cartridge is the same, and everything works pretty much the same, except with the extra capacity you get longer case life, and I can get some added velocity. This cartridge, when loaded with a 100-grain projectile, shoots approximately the same as a 25-06. So essentially, you have a 25-06 short action. Excellent combination. In the lower 48, with good shot placement, you can take pretty much any animal that walks. I'd stay away from the bears, but elk, caribou, moose, with proper projectiles and good shot placement, it's takeable. So, I'm going to demonstrate the cream of wheat method and the products that you'll need to do this. Okay, in order to method, you'll need some starting things. Of course, high quality brass. You want to use the best quality brass you can use. In this case, I have Nosler brass. It came highly recommended. Hornady makes excellent brass. Federal, Winchester, Remington all make 257 Roberts brass. Get the plus P if you can. It'll give you added life on your reloads. And just go for what you can afford. If you can afford the Nosler or the Hornady, please get it. It's excellent. You'll need a fast burning pistol powder. Bullseye, Blue Dot, Unique. All of them came recommended. I use the Unique powder. It's about $30. You can load a lot of rounds. And of course, cream of wheat. Being the cream of wheat method, you need cream of wheat. So it's good for breakfast. Excellent for reloading. So that's your inert filler. Good old TP. You know, without going into detail, I wouldn't use on yourself. I would use the John Wayne toilet paper that you can read a paper through, and the stuff that you find in most grocery store aisles now. Not good for the standard use, but for what we're going to do, it works very well. And one roll of paper will last you for a long, long time. A trickler, you don't need an electronic filler for this, and a good bench scale. Okay, those are the products you need. Now let's get on to the actual loading of the cartridges. Okay, to start loading these cartridges, you take an empty case and you fill it to capacity all the way up to the neck, up to the top of the neck. You take it and you fill it into your scale, and you measure the complete volume of this case. These cases typically run about 34.5 to 36 grains, depending on which one you use. I know it's a big difference. This one ran 34.9 grains, so I'm going to start out loading about 35. We'll start out with 35, and we'll take 10% of that, so 3.5 grains of powder will be my starting load. Even if you're not using a projectile, you must observe safe practice. Okay? This is not a condoned method of fire forming from any company that I know of, but it does work for people like me who cannot do it any other way. So, any load that you load at your own risk. Please be careful. Do not take this for granted or it will eat your lunch. Okay? That being said, what you do is you take that 3.5 grains of powder and you load it in there, and then you put your inert filler on top. Now, here's the thing. I've already done this. I've already gotten the load that I need. 12 grains of the unique powder is what I need to form a very nice, moderately sharp neck and shoulder area. So, I've cut to the chase. I went ahead and did all the research on my own. I'm taking the empty case, and I've got 12 grains of powder right here. I'm going to go ahead and put this 12 grains of powder into the case, as I do, to make sure that all the grains get off of the rim and down into the cartridge. I take one of those pieces of toilet paper and I cut it into quarter sections. Okay? I take that quarter section and I fold it into thirds twice. I fold it into thirds lengthwise, and then I fold the width. Doesn't have to be exact, it just needs to be able to fill an area. I'll take that case that housed the powder and I'll put it right there. And then I'll take an old Allen wrench. I've got an old thin Allen wrench that I use on my bows, and I'll put it right here on the center, and I'll just push that down in there. Now you'll feel it go in. Okay, sometimes it'll break through like that, no big deal. You just stuff it down in the neck. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of pack it around the edges of that cartridge. Kind of go around the edge, and you'll feel the paper in there. And you just kind of rotate the cartridge around, and you're wanting it to be able to hold that powder in there like a case would, or like a projectile would, excuse me. Okay. Now, to test and see if it's in there enough, you hold out your hand like this, and then turn the case over. No powder came out at all. So that's in there. That's going to hold that powder in. The cream of wheat to mix. Next, you take your funnel and you get a scoop of cream of wheat. I'm using an old Lee scoop from an old set of dies I used to have. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill this up to the base of the neck. And if it goes over a little bit, it's okay, because you can pour it right back in the cream of wheat jar and not mix the powder, because you've got that piece of toilet paper in there. It does two purposes. Now, I've got it to the neck, and it's a little bit past the base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there and kind of tap on it, because that is very coarse cream of wheat. Okay, I can put just a touch more in there because it's settled down below the base. So I want to get it right up to the base of that neck. Okay, that's about right. So, see how that's in there? That's exactly how you want to have it every time. Some people plug the end of it with soap. Some people use lubing wax. I don't like doing that. I don't like putting stuff into my barrel that's going to get in there and get stuck in the lands and the grooves and might catch powder as it goes through. I don't want to clog my barrel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another piece of toilet paper. Toilet paper is frangible enough to where it will either burn up or it will be blown out the end of that barrel with no problems. It's not going to get stuck as easily into the lands and grooves. But even though it won't do that, you still want to make sure that you punch the barrel after about every 5th time you shot it. Okay, go ahead and push this down there on top of that cream of wheat. Just pack it down there like you would like wadding used to be on the old muzzle loaders. Okay. Now, try not to hit the rim of the cartridge as you're pushing it down. But there it is. You got the paper down there. The paper's stuck in there and will not come out. And that's pretty much it. This cartridge now has the powder with paper on top, keeping the cream of wheat and the powder separate. Then you've got another piece of paper on top of the cream of wheat filler that holds the cream of wheat in. You put this in the rifle and shoot it out of that chamber, and it's going to feel like you're shooting just the primer. Okay, it has negligible recoil. When you get done, you should have that nice crisp neck, just like that. That's 12 grains right there. That's the result. Okay. After that happens, you load a nice, fast, or controlled expanding round into this thing, and you're ready for elk, moose, caribou, deer, fox, anything. Put a 100 grainer in there, and it'll do the trick. You can put 117 grain in there, and it does very well on bigger animals. But that 100 grain will take care of anything that you're likely to encounter in a normal hunting situation, and they're extremely accurate. My Seiko shoots that round at about a 1/4 inch at 100 yards. I have IMR 4350, 50 grains of that with 100 grain Sierra, and that thing will widen the holes. It has a nice ballistic tip on top of this right now, and this is what I'm going to use for coyotes. And that thing will clean a coyote's clock. And so that's it. As always, be very, very safe and do this at your own risk. God bless and have a good day. All right, my son and I are outside on a typical windy West Texas day. Good thing we're not hunting today. We're just going to be fireforming the brass. All right, and my son Joseph is going to fireform this brass for me. Just to show you how little it recoils, he's going to shoot it. Very little recoil. If you live in a rural area, you might even get away with doing it in a place like your garage, so you don't even have to get outside. But you typically have very good results with that load that I was loading up. Okay? This should be no problem for the average reloader, because that's what I am. So, you can load these things one at a time. I don't recommend loading them down inside of a magazine. Alright, let's try her again, buddy. Woo. Alright. Those results speak for themselves. Very nice load. Y'all have a good day. God bless.